their capacity is getting augmented. Even in case of HVDC, IGBT itself is going to be manufactured in India. L&T and Power Grid have already joined hand to do that particular project. So there are so many things that is happening in this particular segment, and technological interventions as well as the main key issue of right of way that has also been addressed through the new guidelines that has been published by Ministry of Power, wherein now we have said that nothing doing. If there is a land which is required, we can pay them at a market value. Probably that was a big bone of contention when you really go and try to acquire the land or even to do the right of use in that particular corridor. So we have already agreed for a market value. So probably all these interventions are adding to these capacities. So in terms of the whatever is the balance left out after the PSP, we'll be definitely catching up with the BSS. And in terms of battery energy storage systems also, 43,000 megawatt hour worth of this have VGF has already been announced by Ministry of Power. All of them are under bidding stage, and they are likely to fructify in another 1 to 2 years time. Similarly, if required, we will go for next one as well. Another very, very important things what we are deliberating as of now is, can we mandate certain percentage of storage with renewables themselves, maybe around 10%, 15% or 20%, so that it takes care of their variability right at the place where it is getting generated, and they also get compensated with respect, or they are able to meet the requirement of deviation settlement, which is a very, very key concerns of all the RE developers right at the place where they are getting generated. So this kind of things probably is likely to help us.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. Alok Kumarji, during your regime, you had recommended roughly around 80 gigawatt of new thermal capacity, which country had required. But suddenly we are seeing that demand is not picking up at the pace in last few years, as we all would have liked. Do you still stick to your assessment that 80 gigawatt is needed?
I'll say the capacity expansion planning has to be done keeping a 10-year horizon in view, not a temporary dip in demand for 6 months of a one month in a year. So I still of the view that the India will see a very robust, very healthy growth in electricity demand, and India should continue to plan for all possible scenarios of demand to meet it reliably. And you cannot keep on changing your planning scenario every 6 months. So that is my take. And whatever it requires, 80 gigawatt, 90 gigawatt coal, it has to be planned in advance, because you can't bring it in just 6 months or 1 year. So I still hold the view that India will see robust demand growth. One last thing is that we should not plan that what is the demand met. We should plan for what is resource adequacy for various scenarios of demand, to keep the reliability in a feasible say band of in a feasible band. I'll stop at it. Thank you.
I'll just add one point here, because right now it's not a challenge to meet the peak demand, which is now occurring during the day hours, because you have a solar contribution there. The challenge is lying in the non-solar hours, and there you don't have you have zero contribution coming from the solar side. So what resources that you have? So that lies the answer of Alok Kumar sir, and what the question that you have asked.
So then storage would come into play. Then wind can come into play.
Storage you will have
come into play.
See, solar hours is 6 hours.
Yeah.
What is the left out? Is 18 hours. How do you really meet the requirement of 18 hours? Which storage capacity is going to give you a continuous 18-hour supply?
But if you have storage and planning for storage,
and what is going to be the cost of it? Somebody really asked me, if solar is really so cheap, why isn't the price of electricity coming down?
So cost is play of scale also, no? That once the scale comes into play.
No, because the real cost of solar is something different than what is being projected in those systems.
I think you have to see the likely utilization of the asset. Can't create a storage which is utilized 40%. Who will pay the balance cost? It has to be a very, very planned manner for a least cost. Is still ramping up renewable energy. We should not go by ideology. We need 2 HVDC per line, or we need 90 gigawatt coal. No. Whatever system requires for meeting it reliably demand, in most likely scenario, we should go for that.
So Balaji, I want you to come in. You have dealt with, renewable energy players. When such questions tossed up to you, so what was your reaction at that time?
No, as far as I'm also a student of economics. So yes, we should look at the overall cost of every resource. Why only solar? I think every resource we should look at the cost. But the fact is that world over, I mean, whether now it's a question whether we want to go slow or we want to balance it now and then and then expand later. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 2070, when we reach net zero, our path is very clear and the world's path is very clear. So the earlier we grapple with the problems and resolve them is better. So therefore, I think what we need to do is, as Mr. Ghanshyam Prasad is saying, this year we have a record year for RE projects coming online, and of course, simultaneously integration. I compliment him for that, absolutely. We will probably cross 50 gigawatt of RE this year. We have 2 months, of data left. Next year could be even higher. I'm saying could be, but I'm very happy to hear that it will be. So we are on that path. So we are not rolling it back. The question is, we need to look at, of course, non-solar hours, how we are going to meet the energy need. We are one, I think, policy is very clear, India's policy, that we cannot have blackouts. And we have to meet the entire demand of the country, every part of the country. So whatever need be has to be done. If thermal needs to be added, if PSPs need to be added to in the number that Mr. Prasad talked about, which is a higher number than what was earlier, which is very good because more storage capacity. And in fact, for non-solar hours, you may need to add non-RE in whatever way. Now, whichever way, how much of storage, maybe the technology will improve in the next 5 years so much that it will match the thermal capacities. The battery itself would be, or other storage would match the thermal capacities required equivalent one. So, we have to go that path to know what will happen. But I think we need to plan for all that.
And so in winter session, we have already seen that Shanti bill was, cleared. And we may see some private players coming into setting up nuclear plants and especially the SMRs. So that could be, the cleaner fuel, fueling our electricity. Mr. Kesri, in this discussion, the focus is on many of your members that, their survival and return on investment because they invested into thermal power plants when country actually needed it. And curtailments actually has curtailed their margins. So how do you see them, striving through this era?
See, I've run the DISCOMs also. For DISCOMs, the delivered cost of power is more important, not what you discovered in the bid. So delivered cost of power is very important in making decision. Second is reliability. Reliable supply of power is again very important for economic development, and we can't afford a blackout now in the country. We are at such an economic stage of development that we can't afford. So reliability in supply, because it's only DISCOM who faces the flak, no generator, no one else. So that's why DISCOM are keeping both green power, reliable power, round-the-clock power, and that's why based on their demand projection, and CA has done a beautiful resource adequacy study, and they projected state-wise what are the sources of power and generation mix. And the states have gone for bid, almost 20,000 megawatt of new thermal plant bid has been finalized. Another 8,000 megawatt are either in the market or coming through. NTPC, state GENCO are also adding power. That's for meeting the reliability factor and peak load and non-solar hour power demand. Then CRC cap. I will request CRC and all stakeholders that CRC price cap should go. That will help sending a signal to the market for merchant power, and merchant battery storage will also come in a big way if the cap is removed. And for transmission, constant transmission, supply is also a constant. So one can consider going for a bulk tender of 5 or 10 HVDC line, which will deepen the manufacturing capacity in the country and get you more player and more predictable project execution in the future. And for integrating RE power, the thermal sector and thermal player, especially IPP, are advocating, requesting that the MTL should not go below 55. Maybe for a few days or few times in the year, it can go to 45 or 40%, but on average, it should remain 55%. That will keep them also going. Thank you.
Arunji, if we see globally, the grids with high renewable energy penetration, they see flexibility and technology as, one of the stable constant. As a private player, how do you see the Indian context, especially when we are getting ready for the next phase of renewable inculcation, since the new electricity policy is already in circulation? So how do you see, the role of regulators, watchdogs, and many of the industry associations? What is the private players' view here?
I think as a private player, if my investment is on ground, then I should be able to, pay back my lenders and, get a return on equity. That's the bare minimum which I need. I think curtailment issue, Ghanshyamji has very clearly explained it too, and the TGNA people are at the bottom of the pyramid when it comes to priority, and they are, left high and dry, unable to, service their debt. I think there's something we'll have to figure it out. Now, in terms of some of the, I think I can give an example of Denmark, which is 90% on renewable. I think the storage plays a very important role there. And storage alone can solve our problem. It could be a nuclear storage, or it could be a pumped hydro storage, or hydro plants, or coal or gas peaker. I think those will have to play a role. Now, if we can bring in the battery asset under transmission, then the problem which Alok Kumar sir mentioned, this all concentrated in one part of the country, I think that can get distributed. We bring it closer to Khetri or Narela. We can store power here, and then in the peak time we can discharge the batteries. And I think that one thing that can happen. And the private players, power grid, all of us are fully equipped. Land is already acquired. We are present there. Connectivity is there. We can very quickly ramp it up. So building storage, battery storage under transmission could be an option. I think that can be explored. And other thing is, I think physical infrastructure is one, but the way we can expand the capabilities of our grid itself, monitoring and more stabilization efforts like a very quick frequency stabilizer, frequency curtailers. I think if we can bring some sort of those kind of technologies to the grid, I'm sure the very clever, very wise people running the grid, I think that can, in the short run, can help us reduce the curtailment. But at the end of the day, it is the physical infrastructure which has to come.
So we are running out of time. So maybe we can ask Shyam Prasad ji about this storage. Sir, what is CA's calculations? In next 5 years, how much grid scale storage India requires? Because now we understand that if we comply by INDC commitments, thermal projections are already there. What is the requirement you see that, this much of battery storage capacity India must inculcate so that, grid stability can be ensured by 2030?
See, this is what I said. By 35, we'll be requiring somewhere around 160 or 65 gigawatt, and multiplied by 4 or 5 hours, that will be the number of hours that you will be requiring. And how do we meet it? Year-wise plans have already been made. People do keep on saying why India has not so much integrated battery energy storage so far, because we are right now managing with a thermal fleet. And what Kesri has said, that we had been definitely hurting them with the flexible operation coming from up to 55% and then targeting to around 40%. So we did had a good amount of margin here because of 30% of margin, which thermal flex, and therein we are integrating the solar and to some extent wind there as well. So far we had been managing, but from 26, 27 onwards, we'll be requiring in a gradual manner, it will keep on growing. and could be, as I mentioned to you, roughly around 60 gigawatt by in next 10 years, or 240 gigawatt hour.
And what price?
Price has to be as reasonable as possible, because if this price is not good, definitely hydro pump storage will pick up or some other technology will pick up.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
it.
Thank you very much. The time is up, but it was always a pleasure to talk to you all and build this conversation of countries. Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Request Anilesh to please felicitate the panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have with us Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal, Honorable Union Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Let's have a very big round of applause for him.
आराम से आराम से।
हाँ।
सामान देना भैया।
अब आगे क्या करना है? वो बिट्टू की पर्ची में देखो ना, कहाँ गई पर्ची?
नमस्ते
जी।
हाँ, मुझे पता है वो पर्ची में क्या लिखा होता है। आप चलिए मेरे साथ। व्हील चेयर, ये आपका और ये
हाँ।
आपका। पर्ची में शॉपिंग की बात तो जरूर लिखी होती है। थोड़ी पेट पूजा की बात कोई पर्ची में ना लिखे, ऐसा हो सकता है?
टिफिन लाया।
थैंक यू।
अरे पर्ची मिल गई।
पर्ची में तो ये सब लिखा ही नहीं था।
हम है ना आपकी पर्ची।
सिर्फ वर्ल्ड क्लास एयरपोर्ट्स नहीं चलाते हैं, आपके सफर में हम सफर बन जाते हैं। अदानी, हम करके दिखाते हैं।
And Maritime Future, we are honored to have with us Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal, Honorable Union Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Welcome, sir. Also requesting India Today's Group Editorial Director for Publishing, Raj Chingappa, and Managing Editor Kaushik Deka to introduce the Honorable Minister and moderate the session.
Let's give him a very, very warm round of applause, the Minister. We are honored to have in our presence Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal, Union Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, a former Chief Minister of Assam, distinguished Chief Minister first, and then, of course, now a senior national leader who is at the helm of India's maritime transformation. And under his leadership, India has pushed forward on port modernization, digital platforms like Sagar Setu and port digital twins, green port initiatives under the Harit Sagar. I mean, there's a whole list that we're going to talk to you about. But let's look at the prime mover of this. Today, shipping now accounts for almost 60% of transportation, and since India is the great opening up that is happening in trade deals, US, Europe, and all these places, shipping is going to become fundamental to our success in the export front. If you take a look, sir, you've been 5 years now, Mr. Sonowal, as the minister. Let's take a look at Sagarmala, which was supposed to create the whole web of ports, make it modern. If you take a stock taking, can you tell us in terms of changes that you've seen, low logistic costs, faster turnaround times, higher transshipment captures? These were the main aims of Sagarmala. What can you say from your side is the progress that we've achieved on this?
First of all, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to India Today for inviting me to this very meaningful session. And particularly when you talk about infrastructure, we'll have to always consider that the basic is the connectivity and communication and other related institution infrastructure. So our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji always been saying that without transformation, without transportation, so we cannot grow faster.
We cannot transform. Yes.
So the transportation sector, particularly connectivity and communication, is the key to the growing structures of, transportation. And I believe that's how the journey started. Particularly, Honorable Prime Minister has also given the principal line of thinking and doing action on the ground. That is reform, perform, and transform. So this is what happening in others ministry also, along with this ministry, of course. And like Honorable Prime Minister, after taking over the responsibility as a Prime Minister in the country, since 2014 onwards, whatever transformative initiative he has taken under his dynamic leadership, every ministry is now signing and performing well. As you have rightly cited out that Sagarmala program, in consultation with our stakeholder, that is the state government and Union territories, particularly state maritime boards and other stakeholders, we will always discuss the matter in details. And after going through the technology, economic feasibility reports and all others relevant, important initiative, we consider the project from our side. Altogether, more than 879 projects under Sagarmala program was adopted with an expenditure up to the extent of 5.79 lakhs crore.
You matched Mr. Gadkari in funding.
So, and we had the 5 important verticals in the Sagarmala. The first, port modernization, mechanization, and digitization. Number 2, port-led connectivity enhancement. Number 3, port-led industrialization.
Right.
Number 4, coastal community development. Then we had coastal shipping and inland waters. These are the 5 verticals. Because these are the verticals who ultimately drive the entire ministry, entire transportation system. Because we being the largest transporter of the country, we have to have that competent ecosystem which could compete with the best of the global scenario, global arena. So that is what ultimately the initiative was taken. As a result, now you have seen how World Bank Logistic Performance Index reports is revealing the fact that in every vertical you are performing better and better, even better than some of the developed countries.
Can you give some examples?
So example turnaround time.
Right.
Earlier it was 96 hours. Ek jahaz, aap just anuman
4
lagaiye.
days.
4 days waiting to get the green signal from the port authority.
Right.
So they have to wait for hours after hours or after hours. But ultimately, the entire business proceeding was delayed, isn't it? It was affected because the cargo handler also, the shipping liner also, in all the stakeholder involved in this particular sector, they get disturbed and affected. That is why to bring ease of doing business principle in practice, ultimately port modernization, mechanization, digitization had to work. Until now, this turnaround time reduced from 96 hours to 24 hours.
And how does that compare with world standards?
Of course, we are far better than America, Singapore, then we are like Canada and Australia, and many more, Germany, yeah, if you compare.
Right.
So that way, earlier in the shipment category, our position was placed on 44 position.
Wow.
Now it is just in 11 years, transformative initiative. Ultimately, now our position is 22. So that's the jump from 44 to 22.
Halved it.
Yeah, of course. Earlier, the cargo handling capacity was limited to only 555 million metric ton. Now it went up to 885 billion metric ton.
In these 5 years?
Yeah, of course. And capacity earlier, it was limited to 15, capacity of handling. Now it went up to 2,750 million metric ton. So that's the jump. And ultimately, it is possible only because of the modernization, mechanization, digitization, all this kind of, transformative initiatives.
So if you look at it, how much has the logistic cost reduced? Because that's the critical
Of course,
thing.
now, particularly as per Honorable Prime Minister's vision, so logistic costs, he has directed to all the concerned ministry that you are to develop your ecosystem in such a manner that you should have your integrated effort.
Right.
You cannot work in silos. You cannot single-handedly perform. So you'll have to work together so that ease of doing business can be practically possible. Okay. And the kind of, stakeholders, the businessmen, business houses, they get the best facility out of it, best benefit out of it. So this is how it happened. Ultimately, that given target that from double digit to single digit, you have to bring down.
Logistic cost.
Yeah, logistic cost.
So currently, what is it now, and what is the target that you are now trying to
now
reach?
you just imagine because of the cargo handling capacity enhancement,
Right.
and all these sectors our better performance. Now, if you compare, supposing in the for a 1 metric ton of cargo by train,
Right.
if it is 1.25 paisa,
Right.
by truck 2.50 paisa,
Right.
then by waterways it is only 60 paisa. So that's the difference. That's the logistic cost reduction.
Right.
And how it is benefiting you, just imagine. So that's the way the transformation is taking place, because the speed and scale, Honorable Prime Minister is always saying to us that you'll have to maintain it in every initiative of your own. You'll have to maintain that two important point, that is speed of the implementation,
Turnaround and everything.
and scale, the standard of scales. The global standard should be always maintained, so that player from the country, from across the world, they feel at home in India.
So what did you do to free up the whole industry, because it was stuck before this, the port thing? What were the principles
It's
you?
a question of lack of will.
Oh,
Because this was not there during the UP regime, honestly speaking.
right.
आप देखिए ना waterways को, उसी उनकी कालखंड में it was limited to 5 numbers of national waterways. Yeah. And the cargo handling capacity was limited to 18 million metric ton. And because of the enhancement of the national waterways, number of waterways, and also bringing the new policy in place, and also the program in place, and also the enactment of the law, ultimately the capacity went from 18 million metric ton to 145 million metric ton. एक क्लिप होना चाहिए.
But
700% growth.
What 5 years? What was the big mantra you used to make this turnaround? What were the 3 or 4 things you did which said, okay, let's speed up this whole process?
No, it's a question of team spirit. Team
Right.
India. That's the spirit under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister. You are to motivate the officers and employees working at the ports, working in the shipping line, working in the waterways, in all the sector, whoever is working. You are to talk to them. You are to make them motivated, encourage, because you will have to lead from the front, being the minister. अगर आपने वो माहौल उन लोग को दे पाए, तो निश्चित रूप से अपने लगाव, जुनून, सब कुछ वहाँ जुड़ जाती है.
Kaushik?
Now, Mr. Sonwal, you have a very unique distinction. Now, you have been part of all three Modi ministry, and at the same time, you became a CM also. Means no other BJP politician has this double distinction. Also, you have been directly, indirectly part of this infrastructure journey because you were a minister of sports, then you were into skill development, and now you are into shipping, port. So in this whole journey, also as CM, you were credited with developing several bridges over Brahmaputra. So what is it that you have faced in this journey of infrastructure building in within India? The biggest challenge, even now, when it comes to infrastructure building, we all talk about land acquisition, other bureaucratic processes, which causes enough delay in infrastructure building. So if you have to pinpoint one big challenge in infrastructure development and how the government solves it.
No, it's a question of the mindset. But creating the positive mindset among the citizen. First of all, the citizen must have faith in the common approach. Honorable Prime Minister has, right from the beginning, been trying to bring everybody along. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. That is the mantra. I think it's click. Ultimately, out of this, like taking everybody along, cooperative federalism principle, ultimately make everyone feel connected with the government policy, program, and initiative. And that's the reason, I believe, because when I was the Chief Minister of Assam, when Honorable Prime Minister visited, always glorifying the quality, the resources that is there in Assam and Northeast. उन्होंने हमेशा ऐसे नॉर्थ ईस्ट को विशेष रूप से गुणगान की है, मान्यता दी है कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट कोई मामूली इलाका नहीं है, देश के अस्तलस में हमें अनुभव जगाया। नॉर्थ ईस्ट में बसे हुए, असम में बसे हुए शक्ति, संपदा, संभावनाओं को विशेष रूप से उन्होंने मान्यता दी है और हमें भी कहा असम में रहते हुए आप लोगों को भी विशेष रूप से इस धरती में बसे हुए शक्ति को आप पहचानिए और उजागर कीजिए और मेहनत कीजिए। देश की तरफ से, केंद्रीय सरकार की तरफ से जो भी सपोर्ट चाहिए, ये सपोर्ट देने के लिए तैयार है। इसलिए पिछली 11 साल के अंदर नॉर्थ ईस्ट को 7.9 लाख करोड़ का सपोर्ट मिला है। जस्ट इमेजिन, 7.9 लाख करोड़ अधिकतर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में उसको इस्तेमाल की गई। आप देखिए, अरुणाचल प्रदेश सीमा इलाके में बसी हुई एक प्रदेश है। इस प्रदेश में एक जिले से दूसरे जिले तक जाने के लिए कोई सड़क थी नहीं, व्यवस्था। उनको आसाम होके जाना पड़ता था, भाया आसाम। यू ऑल्सो नो बेटर। अब असम, उनको असम से आने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि ऐसे बनी गई है। आपको मैं एक उदाहरण के हिसाब से मैं बोलना चाहता हूं कि एक पुल, मुझे बताया एक सज्जन ने, उनको खड़ा करने के लिए 500 मीटर उनका जो सब स्ट्रक्चर पिलर 500 मीटर वहां उसको खड़ा की गई है। उसके ऊपर सुपर स्ट्रक्चर बनी गई। जस्ट इमेजिन द चैलेंजेस द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज ओवरकम सक्सेसफुली विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ द लोकल पीपल। It is possible only the local people support their optimism and their faith in the Modi's leadership. That is why how it is all happening in the country in every part, not that only in the northeast, but also in the other part of the country, even in the hilltop of the Kashmir. And like you just think about the connectivity, railway connectivity now building from Siliguri to Gangtok. Gangtok is located where? 12,000 feet above sea level. Just imagine. It's almost on the hilltop, the capital city of Sikkim. And if you talk about Aizol, there is also 3,000 feet above sea level, but it is connected with the railway network. So this is the revolutionary transformation, changes we are witnessing in the last 70 years of Indian independence. People of Northeast never seen this kind of transformation, changes. Now everybody feel very close to Delhi. Why? Because the communication इस हिसाब से बनी गई है तो लोगों का पसंद के मुताबिक वो आ भी सकता है, जा भी सकता है वापस.
Kaushik knows that.
So,
He keeps coming and going.
You know better.
So, but one question, Minister.
I had a
Yeah,
follow-up question
sure.
on this. You have said that it's true that roads and rail networks, they have vastly improved. But at the same time, when it comes to ports, that last mile connectivity is still there.
Multimodal.
That still remains a problem. So what is the government and your ministry doing
Well,
to
you're
solve
ta-
that issue?
If you talk about the inland waterways, let me tell you.
Not just inland waterways, from
But
port
others.
to the other places,
Yeah,
that
other
last mile connectivity
Yeah.
in terms of
So,
roads and rail
look,
networks.
When you talk, because nowadays it is not last mile. Because earlier, the village which was situated on the borderline, it was last village, it was considered. Now, Honorable Prime Minister has advised us, consider it at the first village of the country.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, first village. Then it will be on the priority of the like a national agenda. So this is what happening across the country, and that is why, but I mean to say that like at Jugigupa, that's become now a port of international significance, international importance, because this particular port is going to cater service to the people of Bhutan, people of Bangladesh, people of Nepal, and people of India, BBN family. So it has already been developed. Cargo has started to move from Bhutan to Jugigupa, Assam, then from Assam to Bangladesh to the different parts of ASEAN region, Thailand, Myanmar, etc., etc. So this is how the connectivity, multimodal connectivity, multimodal logistic kind of complex is building in the state of Northeast Assam. So these are the area where earlier people never thought of this thing to happen like this. But now people have developed their confidence. Oh, हम जलमार्ग से भी अपने बिजनेस को आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं. जलमार्ग से भी हम अपने इस प्रांत से दूसरे प्रांत तक सामान भेज सकते हैं. तो ये जो कॉन्फिडेंस जगाने का काम एक एक प्रोजेक्ट के जरिए जो हो रहा है, यही है परिवर्तन. क्योंकि आप अगर like if you talk about the difficulties, of course earlier it was difficulties because Congress government they didn't try to talk to the people living in the roots. पहले तो उनको जाना चाहिए, समझाना चाहिए ये प्रोजेक्ट क्या है, क्या नहीं है और किसके लिए बने गई है, किसके लिए बनाए जाएंगे, इससे लोगों का क्या बेनिफिट होगा. तो बेनिफिट के बारे में उन्होंने कभी कम्युनिकेट नहीं की और लोगों का बीच में जाकर उनको मनाने के लिए भी उनका पास कोई रुचि थे नहीं. यानी कि they were detached from the people's democracy, because you will have to respect the people's democracy. You will have to talk to the people living in the countryside, villages, in the tea gardens, in the hilltop, then make them understand. If we are building this road, bridges, this institution, it is meant for your growth, not for anybody's from other side. So this is the way I believe this government has been successful in making the people convinced and also connected and also motivated and also taking them along.
Wonderful. In this spirit that is there, under your watch, you had that Vizinjam project come up, the port that is there, and that will possibly enable India to end its reliance on foreign transshipment. We just have the verdict come in from Nicobar project, the Greater Nicobar project, where the National Green Tribunal has cleared it. What is the importance of this particular project? Because you are the shipping minister and it's a huge port coming there. And what is the progress so far you made under Vizinjam? And do you need these deep ports for transshipment, or because there's a lot of environmental protest also that has happened because of Great Nicobar? What is your views on that?
We got the clearance now because there is, I believe, no hurdles in it. And as you know, the Badawan port is coming up. That port is going to handle more than 300 million metric ton alone. This port is going to create a new city across Badawan. Okay? And ultimately, this port is going to create job opportunity more than 12 lakhs. Please listen, 12 lakhs. from one single port, directly and indirectly.
And Vizhinjam?
Vizhinjam, of course, that's one of the transshipment hub. And ultimately, because of this port, now we could able to save our foreign exchange outgo.
Right.
Earlier, for transshipment, either we were banking on Singapore, Sri Lanka, Colombo, and Dubai. But now, because of our developing like transshipment hub within the country, now we'll be self-reliant.
So how will the Nicobar project, Greater Nicobar project help you in terms of transshipment? Did you really require it? Because you already had Vizhinjam. What benefit will you get out of having?
We are close to the international sea route, very close.
Right.
So ultimately, that will give us a lot of opportunity to grow in the maritime sector and ultimately make us one of the leading superpower as a maritime nation. So this is because you have to have all the relevant infrastructure facility within the country itself. Because we have the coastline more than 11,093 kilometers. Okay, this is an advantage for us. We have to develop the infrastructure facility. We'll have to provide the facility so that the shipping liner always prefer to come and berth here.
Right.
Berthing in our terminal means we are like growing
foreign.
our income. So and creating employment opportunity. That is the way India marching towards becoming one of the top 5 maritime nation in the world by 2047.
Since it has just been cleared and you come from an ecologically sensitive state yourself, there were a lot of ecological concerns in the sanctioning of Nicobar, Greater Nicobar project. How do you view that, and have you taken care of all the concerns of ecologists?
Like economy, ecology, and environment. Let me repeat: economy, ecology, and environment. Of course, we want to grow economy, but not at the cost of ecology and environment. That is very clear.
And you have taken care of that in this Nicobar project.
Of course, we are committed to take care of the health of the nation because we firmly believe prakriti rahega to prani rahega. प्रकृति रहेगा
तो प्राणी रहेगा और उसमें निकोबार प्रोजेक्ट आपने किया था Kaushik, you want to
the next goal means port building has always been there, but the ministry is focusing more on shipbuilding. You have said that India would soon cater to the demands of even large ships and cargo vehicles also. So that announcement is done, but when and how? What's the roadmap?
You have raised a very, very relevant question. And shipbuilding is one of our top priority agenda. In the recent past, in the last budget, you have seen how Honorable Prime Minister's direction, Honorable Finance Minister has announced about the policy of shipbuilding. And ultimately 70,000 crores like provision has been created in the budget, but in the near future, as per the requirement, it will definitely increase. But the question, we have set our agenda very clear. And out of the 2 vision, Maritime India Vision 2030, Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047. So according to the 2030, we want to become one of the top 10 shipbuilding nation in the world by 2030. Then by 2047, we want to become one of the top 5 shipbuilding nation in the world. Now it is China, South Korea, Japan in the leadership. And we are depending on the foreign shipping lines. All the time we are chartering the ships from abroad. And as a result, every year we have to pay back more than 6 lakhs crore. Just imagine 6 lakhs crore every year. We want to save this in our exchequer. Okay? So that is the prime target. And to meet that target, we have already developed our ecosystem. We are building our coordinated effort with the state government because there are number of state government who is adopting the maritime policy And with that policy, they are coming forward, joining hand with the government of India. They're providing land and all other support to develop the cluster for shipbuilding and ship repair. Okay, right from Odisha, then Andhra Pradesh, and like, kind of Tamil Nadu, then we have Maharashtra, then we have Gujarat. So this is the way the ecosystem is growing up. Now, not only like to have our shipbuilding like infrastructure like developed, but at the same time, the quality workforce, that is the key. Because to build a ship, you require more than 5,000 different specialized like equipment, 5,000 numbers. I believe this is the only sector where you need more and more numbers of like equipments, apparatus. Okay, that is also to be classified by some of the top leading like classified society in the world. So that is the standard of shipbuilding. So this is how we are building the ecosystem in the country, and I believe within a short span of time, already the order has started come to Indian shipyard. In the recent past, Cochin Shipyard Limited got the order of 6 container vessel making from CMS CGM, one of the leading shipping liner in the world from France. So this is how, and also for shipbuilding, the South Korean companies are joining hands with our leading shipbuilder, Cochin Shipyard Limited, Cochin. So that's the way we are getting the orders from the foreign nation, and the foreign nation is also building their confidence in India. And because of their confidence, they are coming forward and also joining hands with us for containers, for crane, many other like relevant like the kind of infrastructure that is required for shipbuilding and shipping like maritime industry. Yeah.
And that's a good way to end this wonderful session that we had from.
Sir, can I have 30 seconds? One very sharp, short question. And this is not from me. This is from my young colleagues from India Today, any team. This is a mischievous question. So they are saying that in 2021, we saw you from the state, you came to the center. So now 2026, is there a possibility that you will swap positions with the current incumbent Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma?
देखिए कौशिक जी, ये सवाल आपने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में क्यों लाया? ये तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर.
That's what I said.
ये आपका development है.
It's from my India Today, any team. Maybe some more infrastructure building in Assam.
I'm a committed soldier of Bharatiya Janata Party. Whatever party decides, I act accordingly. This is my commitment. And as you know, the principal line is very clear. According to BJP, party, nation first, party second, self last.
He hasn't ruled it out.
Thank you.
But Minister, on the note that you ended earlier, not just looking ahead and sailing into your back to your state, but also the fact that from shipbreaking, you are now making India the leader in shipbuilding. That is the transformation. That's the future that you are looking at. Yes.
Everything is happening because of the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision and his powerful leadership, visionary leadership, and honest and hardworking leadership. And we are all being influenced, highly influenced by his principle of politics.
You have a good captain and a really good team player. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sonowal, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sonowal, for outlining India's maritime vision. May I also request Mr. Arun Puri, Chairperson and Editor-in-Chief, India Today Group, to please come on stage to felicitate the Honorable Minister.
आराम से सामान देना भैया.
अब आगे क्या करना है? वो बिट्टू की पर्ची में देखो ना, कहाँ गई पर्ची?
नमस्ते
जी.
हाँ?
मुझे पता है वो पर्ची में क्या लिखा होता है. आप चलिए मेरे साथ. व्हील चेयर, ये आपका, और ये आपका। पर्ची में शॉपिंग की बात तो जरूर लिखी होती है।